Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Red Raptor Writes. With the release of the PS5 and Xbox Series X, last year thrusted us into the 9th generation of gaming consoles, and who can forget the massive hype train surrounding Cyberpunk 2077? But I gotta say...
Wake me up when I can.
That's right, Squidward, cause this year comes the early access of one of the most awesome games I've seen in a very long time. Prehistoric Kingdom. This title has been in development for a while now by the small indie team Blue Meridian, formerly Shadow Raven Studios. Guys, I cannot describe how excited I am for Prehistoric Kingdom. This is a dream come true, almost like a cross between J-Pog and Zoo Tycoon 2. Okay, well, I'll try to put my hype into words, otherwise we wouldn't have a video. So what makes PK so cool? Why does my adrenaline spike with every devlog? Let's dig this up. There's no better place to start than with the amazing animals we've seen so far. At the launch of Early Access, only 22 different creatures will be available, and adults only at this point. During Early Access, this number will more than double, with 50 animals eventually making their appearances. Keep in mind that this number will change as more and more additions get confirmed, and we've already seen 5 of them get replaced, those being the Sauropelta, Thanatosaurus, Descalosaurus, Nothronicus, and even Deinonychus got scrapped earlier on. On top of our 50-ish, we will even get some extra animals in our roster, as some of the genera have multiple species variants represented by different skins and slight model alterations. Some of these species are recognized as distinct genera by some paleontologists, depending on who you ask. Allosaurus maximus brings us Saurophaganax, Tyrannosaurus bataar brings Tarbosaurus, plus when ontogeny is added, that's even more animals we can create. Juvenile T-Rex, bam, that's Nanotyrannus. Young Prenocephalae, and there's Homalocephalae. And same with Tarbosaurus and Raptor Rex. Now, we can argue the validity of some of these as separate genera, but we'll be able to game the system to make an even bigger roster. I especially love the designs themselves. The models and skins have constantly been improved throughout development, and man has that work paid off. Early on, there was a slightly cartoonier style with less detail, but now each cast member looks mind-blowing. Every creature in the game comes with at least 3 skins, some representing alternate species, and dang, they look good. The bar for all dinosaur designs in and out of games has been raised tremendously. I mean, I really can't stress how great they are. Seeing them in the gorgeous in-game environments too is breathtaking. Plus, we just learned in a recent devlog about individual variation, so different individual animals of the same species, skin, and gender will still vary with randomized hues, saturation, and sizes. And I appreciate the combination of realism and general perceptions. There's a great balance here in which every creature appears super cool, but cool within the realm of possibility. So these designs will appeal to hardcore paleo nerds like myself and casual gamers alike. One more general compliment I'll give is the variety of creatures on display. Yeah, we're getting the classics, T-Rex, Triceratops, Mammoth, and Smilodon, all great. But then Blue Meridian added some weirdos too, such as Paraceratherium, now the second largest mammal ever, Microraptor, and Deinocheirus, all prehistoric fauna that don't get enough love. To be honest, most of these extinct mammals deserve more attention. How many times do you see Hyenodon in media? Not much, so I'm glad it's being represented here. I hope we get to see weirder additions over time, but overall this is a great starting roster that already looks, sounds, and moves wonderfully. Prehistoric Kingdom is a zoo management park builder type of game, so its general gameplay loop shouldn't sound too foreign to anyone. You build enclosures, put animals in those enclosures, keep them from eating the guests, and if you're good enough at that, you unlock new animals. We've seen this many times before, but this indie game has some nice additions planned that will certainly separate it from others in the genre. Firstly, simple gameplay. A pre-alpha build of PK has gone out to VIP backers, and reportedly they picked it up easily and began building awesome enclosures within minutes. I appreciate when a game is accessible, so there's not a huge learning curve. Everyone should be able to enjoy these marvelous attractions, not just the super talented graphic artists. For players who want to control every fine detail, you can do that. If you want to quickly throw something nice together, that's an option too. There are pre-made buildings to plop down, but modular building pieces too. The player can hit an exhibit with a forest brush and be done with it, or place them to their individual liking. Also, huge maps. The size stated by the developers themselves in their May 2020 devlog is 4 million meters squared. That's enormous, guys, to the point where the map size won't be your limiting factor, but the specs on your PC. No more of the JWE nonsense where you find yourself short on space, having to cram enclosures in. Also, like similar video games, there will be various weather effects, presumably at the start of early access. Yeah, storms have haunted our build since JPOG, but depending on the map, players will be vulnerable to different natural disasters. These will be hurricanes and blizzards at launch, then earthquakes and tornadoes later on, each with their different ways to wreak havoc. Other less disastrous weather will still have an impact, like how heat wave will make your prehistoric creatures more thirsty, rain will cause them to seek shelter, and fog will obscure visibility, making guests want a closer look. So much thought goes into these seemingly small details. This is just one example. Prehistoric Kingdom is also shaking the norms for how DNA is gathered. JPOG and Evolution had these very long waiting games where you'd send out dig teams, wait for them to return, and then wait for fossils to be analyzed. Do this enough times until you finally complete the desired genome. Well, not here. Instead, once the player has enough reputation, they can purchase a dig site with cash. From there, species and skins are instantly bought using science points. No waiting like a mobile game. We buy our skins and keep going. But instead of sniping animals we want and that one skin we really like, PK incentivizes completion through park rating boosts. Lastly, I've got to mention this modular building system. I love when these get added to games. For those unfamiliar, this means that we'll be able to make our own custom structures and decorations with in-game materials. As long as it's simple to use, which it appears to be, and there's a good variety of materials and decorations, which the team is working on, then I'll be hooked. And by the way, everything is brought together by a modern, sleek-looking UI that sees constant updates. Dang, this is gonna be so much fun. Blue Meridian is a small team with a big dream, so a lot of their plans will have to be developed slowly over time. Remember, we're only approaching early access and not the full release. Plus, some ideas might wind up as DLC in the future, who knows. Clearly the devs are focused on providing a high quality product and adding the quantity over time. This is why only 22 of 50 confirmed animals will be available at launch, to ensure that each release is of high quality instead of spamming half-baked creatures like certain games. There is confirmed future content we can all hope for. First and foremost, a pre-alpha version is already in the hands of VIP backers who chucked, I think, $500 at the Kickstarter. The alpha itself is on its way with a release date to be announced next month. But it's been stated in their devlogs that they plan to release it at the end of the first quarter, which would be March. Then the beta would come out in Q2, followed by early access release either at the end of Q2 or in Q3, depending on the state of the game at the time. At least in the US, that's what the quarters mean. I don't know about Europe, that might be different. After that, we don't have a timeline, but we'll get there soon enough. No rush, Blue Meridian. Take your time to make a quality game. Prehistoric Kingdom will also see its roster continue to expand. For early access launch, there will be 17 available dinosaurs, 3 mammals, and 2 mini exhibit animals. While yes, the roster is always subject to change, another 28 or more creatures, including the Spinosaurus, which only has concept art at the time, will make their way into the game. On top of that, we'll see ontogeny, breeding, and more behaviors get added, including breakouts. So for those sociopaths who love watching dinosaurs eat their guests, PK should satisfy your crazy needs. Different kinds of staff members will be added, and to not go on forever, we'll get to see earthquakes and tornadoes ravish our zoos. Now for the possible future content that hasn't been confirmed, but the developers are considering. Early concept art from the Kickstarter and a recent September interview show that Blue Meridian is considering adding pterosaurs and marine animals to the game. I would love to see these groups be represented, but it's up to the devs and whether or not they have time for it. Walk-in exhibits too is another thing being looked into, which would be really cool. Even in JPOG, I liked having Dryosaurs roaming around the park, kinda like how peacocks do. Imagine guests being able to walk with cute Psittacosauruses. Lastly, the famed Nigel Marvin narrated the early access trailer, and dang, it brought me back to Prehistoric Park. Simpler times. Now it's possible that he'll have his own role in the new release since the creators have expressed wanting to work more with him. I think they found the only voice that can compete with Jeff Goldblum in Evolution. Hopefully we get these additions whether they be added in updates at full release or DLC, but don't get your hopes up for all of these. Okay, this is the part of the video where I get to be a selfish butthole and start asking for things. No, I'm kidding of course, but as a fan of both the management sim genre and paleontology, there are some things I'd be excited to see going forward. The easiest place to start here is with the animal roster. Blue Meridian already has a great cast of dinosaurs and prehistoric mammals. We've looked at those already, but there are a few categories I'd love to see them hit. The biggest for me being animals that thrived before the dinosaurs. Dimetrodon is an obvious must-have, it was featured in the original logo, but I'm talking Lystrosaurus, Gorgonops, Adaphosaurus, Meganeura, and Arthropleura. There's a lot of potential here. Also, it would be cool to see some more non-dinosaur reptiles, such as the Deinosuchus, Purosaurus, Titanoboa, Postosuchus, and Megalania. Maybe not all of these or the exact genera, but point being, there are more avenues for the devs to explore. These additions, I feel, would round out the roster for a truly prehistoric kingdom. Of course, with the caveat that all additions are of high quality. Fewer additions with higher quality is better than the reverse, but the best of both worlds is possible with more hard work. Moving away from just more stuff, another feature to look out for is the creature habitat needs. On Sandbox, we should get the option to turn these off so we can screw around building exhibits however we want. But aside from that, animals that lived in the same environment should want the same biome. This sounds obvious, but apparently some games couldn't figure this out. I love mixing dinos that actually live together, like Dryosaurus and Stegosaurus, so it would be a shame if they wanted different biomes for some odd reason. So far it looks like PK is on top of this already, but please keep this up. And one final wish that I have doesn't have to do with the game itself, but its developers. Open communication with their audience. Again, it sounds obvious, but some people can't figure this out. Let us know about updates, DLCs, what's being worked on, and when the game has finally run its course, so we're not waiting for over a year hoping for something new. Man, I wish I can show off everything Prehistoric Kingdom has to offer, but that will take a stupidly long time, so I apologize for not showing off every cool feature. If you want more information, be sure to check out their website and view their monthly devlogs. I'm always looking forward to the end of the month because of these. But can you see the hype now? In a few short months, the ultimate prehistoric zoo builder will be installed in our computers, and it will only get better and better over time. There's so much to look forward to, including cool gameplay, lots of creative freedom, and some of the best creature designs to date. This can be everything we've ever wanted from a tycoon management game, and you can bet your GameStop stocks that I'll be uploading a bunch of gameplay videos when it's out. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to please leave a like, subscribe, and check out my social media. See you next time.